Hello and welcome. That was bad. But no, seriously, hello and welcome. With us this afternoon/evening, we have Kimber and Seren as moderators, as well as me, Aurora, which I should have introduced myself, which I did not do last time. And our very special guest, Avalina P. Full stop Cox. The woman with wild imagination and mild insanity. The mild insanity might be up for debate, but we can talk about that one later. Most of her books now are on Amazon, and I'll make sure to link them. I'll say below here. Wherever this ends up, it'll be below. So welcome to our group chat. I guess. Welcome to the
Thank
chat.
you, I think.
We'll see. So first off, like in your own words, can you tell us just a bit about yourself? Anything you're working on? Literally anything.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books on Amazon at the moment. 2 of them are anthologies, and I do a variation of high fantasy and contemporary urban romance, but I veer more towards the fantasy. I'm currently writing the sequel to Guardian of the Fae, which was the first book I ever released on Amazon, and I'm also writing a mermaid book that has dragons in it, so they are
I'm so excited for that book. Sorry.
in process.
Yeah, just like a side note, yeah, do you mind just expanding a little bit on the mermaid book?
Yeah, so it was a complete accident, as they usually are. And when I was writing Dragon Foundling, somehow mermaids appeared in the book without my knowledge. And then I loved the idea of their characters so much that I decided to expand on it, because one of my mermaids was fated to a dragon and then they disappeared. And I thought, oh, what can I do with that? And then my mind, when you're writing and then like all these other stories come flooding into your head, I need to deal with that. I put a pin in it. Everyone thinks that the mermaid, well, I say mermaid, that's probably why, but everyone thinks that the mer person is female and the dragon is male, but it's not. The dragon is the female and it's a merman that she's mated to, and he is the prince due to be king of the sea. And so she can't obviously breathe underwater, but he can't leave his kingdom. The story basically is how they manage to make that work. And dragons and mermaids in the story do not get on at all. There is
That sounds fantastic. I mean, very like
friction.
emotionally terrifying, just like thinking about that relationship working, but that is really interesting.
Even though it's the same realm as dragons, because it's more about the underwater, the seas between. It's like, I guess, the United Kingdom, an island. So there's an island where the royals live, which is like the royal lands, which would technically be Ireland. So the UK part of it is where the rest of the dragons live in different provinces. And each province has different clans and different types of dragons. Between the two lands is the sea, which is where the mermaids live. The dragons didn't know, should I say, that mermaids still existed, because there was a war a long, long time ago where the dragons thought that they died out, but obviously they were in hiding. There's a lot of background about why dragons and mermaids hate each other so much, which is also...
When is that one set to come out?
So I'm writing it on Patreon at the moment. It's ongoing, yeah. So it's only, I know, 6 chapters in, I think. So it's very early stages, but I release 3 chapters a week. So
Truly epic.
but my books tend to be about 90k-ish. I'm hoping to have it released on Amazon by the end of the summer, if possible. But co-siding that, I'm also writing a book about a autistic werebear who doesn't speak, and she's mated to a werewolf shifter.
What's that one called?
That one's called United in Diversity. Because of her differences, she gets sent away.
I am so excited for that book. I really am so excited for that book.
Yeah, so she gets sent away to see if she can get help, because she's like she's quite unique in her world. Like, it's quite unheard of, and she gets quite a lot of backlash for the fact that she's different. She's socially awkward. She can't verbalize the way that, she feels. She can't speak. She can, but she can't. She draws. She tells her stories and she says what she wants through her art. Where when she's away, she meets a werewolf he's aggressive and has anger issues, but there's reasons for that. She's really quiet and meek, and he's really vocal, and that they come together to try and sort of help each other in solving differences that they have.
Do they communicate her just like drawing, or is there other ways?
So she communicates by drawing.
So like that's how she communicates with him as well, and
yeah,
I like that.
She
Is that hard to portray though? Like writing.
This is also a continuation from her last book. She has special powers and she has cognitive dreams, and she's special in a good way.
Yeah, so she basically she is in Sacred Fate, which is my werewolf story that followed on from Province of Origin from the anthology. And in Province of Origin, she was a child and she has dreams, and then she draws her dreams, and then it's almost like she can see things that are going to happen or how things are going to work out. So that's part of like a niche. Like she's quite unique. As an adult, she doesn't tell people that that's what she can do, and she doesn't do that because an incident happens in her teenage years where she shies away from telling people because they don't understand her or her gift. It is hard at the beginning, but it develops and it becomes easier because they find a way of conversing with one another. I don't want to give too much away. It's interesting, but it works.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great.
It's very different. It's different to anything I've written before. But
and just like describing her feelings and emotions and what she is drawing and trying to communicate without verbally speaking that, I feel like that's such an interesting
That's what's going to make this book so special. And
yeah.
I love this character from the last book, so I'm stoked for this one to come out. She's close to my heart. I love her. So
she did actually speak in the last book. She literally only said one word or maybe a couple of words, two words, and that was it. And then she didn't speak again. So there's a development there as well. So,
but I bet people loved her from those 2 words.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how you do that.
I sort of researched quite a lot about sign language, but because she's developed her skill in drawing, because she's a princess, she doesn't see that many people, and the people that she sees can read her because they know her, and so she uses her drawing. So she's never needed to use that. So I didn't go down that road because I think also because she's the only one of her kind to not verbalize. There isn't really such that thing in their world. There's never been a need for it. So she's never needed to sign in that way. Like with her sister in the other book, she'd need a drink or whatever, she would be able to do that, but it's not the same as actual sign language, and she's drawn from as soon as she could pick up a pencil.
I think it's nice to see that sort of representation coming into these sorts of stories, because Issa's done something recently as well, hasn't she, with her latest book. There's a character with hearing loss, and it's just nice to see these differently abled characters coming into a world where magic solves every other problem, we've had conversations at length. We've had conversations at length about the magic dicks that solve every Luna's problem.
Absolutely.
It's inclusive, which is lovely, because then people can actually see themselves in the characters, which is good.
Yeah, it's really nice to see that coming in.
Yeah, you read about these perfect bodies and these perfect everything, and you're just like, it's nice to actually see yourself, or potentially see yourself in a book, which is nice.
It was really important for me to do the character properly because my daughter is autistic and I have family members who are autistic, and it was really important for me to show that side of it as well, and show it because everybody is different and their needs are different, and the way that they are is different. So it might not be a complete representation of you, but you might find elements that, I do that, and oh yeah, that's like me, and
something to identify with.
Yeah.
Without it being a caricature, because I find sometimes people have a good intention with neurodivergency, because you and I have spoken about my daughter before as well, that I'm just sort of starting this journey with her.
Yeah.
And very often autistic people in media are displayed as being the extremes.
Absolutely.
Or a caricature, like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory is kind of an example of that. He's a caricature of a neurodivergent person, but there's so much scope on the spectrum,
and there's such a huge difference. Yeah, it's huge. It's just such a huge difference that I think that you can't put that in a box and be like, that's what that is, because it's not like that.
Well, like my mom was multi-handicap teacher and my dad was the advisor for, we have like these whole school boards in the States for people with developmental disabilities. So they both were like very heavily involved with that. You can even see like in one diagnosis, the spectrum within one box or whatever is so vast. It's like hard to write on if you don't understand it.
And
But since you
yeah.
do, I feel like that is something that's very important and very, someone picks up a book and they're like, this is me. This is a book that's like speaking to me or speaking to someone that like I know. And that is so important.
There are a lot of cross country, cross world differences in the way that things are said, or things that are acceptable or things that aren't acceptable. I suppose of anything really when it comes to, neurodivergence and things like that, because what I grew up with and what is now and what's acceptable in, say, in America or Canada or Africa, it's so different, although it should be the same. And I think that also, like, it's even like, schooling, like it's not the same everywhere, so it makes it harder sometimes to be able to say or do or write without having people come at you. But I think because I have knowledge and understanding of it, while I still make sure that I do my research, that I'm confident in how I'm portraying the character, and I just hope I do it justice.
Based off what I know of your writing, I know you will.
Absolutely,
I know you will.
100%. You'll do justice. Absolutely. And honestly, if people want to say something, have them come walk in your shoes. If it's true for you and that's your reality, portray it the way you know it. And other people will connect, because I'm sure some other people have daughters or siblings or whatever like your daughter, so they'll understand it. You do your best of your knowledge, and other people, well, they can suck it if they come after you, because what are they doing?
You can do the research, but to a degree it will come from your frame of reference, won't it? I mean,
Exactly.
Marion Artwood did similar with His Evil Luna Accidentally and the character of Nero, the 13th Prince, and him being neurodivergent. And while she never put a label on what he is, like what his diagnosis is, because werewolves, she stated quite a few times quite plainly that, this was similar to her son's experience, and, her experience with her son and what he's gone through, and her road to diagnosis and things with him. So I think writing it from the frame of reference of your perspective, it's hard to cause offence. You'll never not cause offence to someone.
Absolutely.
But
I mean, I have to say that my daughter isn't non-verbal, but I do know people that are. A lot of the characteristics of my character come from people that I'm with daily. So I say my character is neurodivergent, but I, again, haven't put that label on my book or to my character. It's just that's in my head where she's at.
I don't feel like you need to put the label on it anyways. The people that don't understand, you will kind of show them.
I think people would just know.
And then the people that get it.
Yes.
Immediately. They know. But I don't think it has to be like explicitly stated if you don't want it to be.
Very well said.
You said something similar as well, didn't you, Aurora, recently? I don't know if you said it publicly or if this was on a phone call. So if it was on a phone call, I apologise now. But you said about one of your books and the character of Rodney, and you said the people that get it. And it's, that's going to resonate and hit hard. And then the people that don't, like, good for you. I'm pleased for you that this isn't your reality, but this is kind of a love letter to those who don't have that representation. And I think it's really nice to see authors touching on these real world subjects in a magical kind of way. This is to both of you, to see this being touched on in a magical way. In your case, domestic violence, Aurora, and Avalina, yours is neurodivergency. It's nice to see it coming into this realm.
What I love about it is that it's real life topics being dealt with in a way that allows people to be expressive and discuss it and understanding it, because there's a lot of people that don't. It's real, but it's not. So it sort of gives you that bit of distance in a way without having to feel
a bit of a one step removed kind of take. Yeah.
It's still dealing with the reality of this is a real thing, but in, like you say, a magical setting. Just because it's magical, it doesn't mean that
it's not
these things
real.
don't happen, that everything is always wonderful, because that's not the case.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to address it.
It is like an introduction as well for the people that probably wouldn't have read this or accepted it as readily in like a book about hockey or like high school or something that's realistic to us. The magical element gives a degree of separation to it.
I feel like sometimes with real hard topics, like you say, like domestic violence and, things like that, sometimes when it's hard hitting and in your face and you're reading it in a book, although it's reality to a lot of people, it can also just be really like, whoa. Especially when you're picking up a book and you're trying to escape reality to a degree, whereas when it's sort of done in an alternative world, it still brings that to the forefront. It still brings you to seeing and understanding and knowing that that's a reality without it being punch throat, if you know what I mean. It's like, wow, that actually happens without it being sort of boom.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we've accepted dragons and like dark magic. And you're like, oh, someone's neurodivergent. It seems a bit more, it's easier to ease people into that, I think.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but I do think this should be more of a thing in fantasy books, honestly, because I think actually be so much better.
Fantastic reality.
We'll kind of accept it more.
They really feel it because like they're feeling the characters and they're feeling the story, so it's like they're really connecting with it on a deeper level than, if you just like, oh, it's autism and then just drop it like nothing and then on you go. So it's like they really get a sense of what the person feels and what they go through on a daily basis, and even their internal monologues sometimes, because they can't, even if they're verbal, they can't verbalize how they feel or what's going on in their heads. But through the book, it gives a better perspective, like an internal perspective. So it makes you can make the reader more empathetic to, real life situations. At least that's what we hope. I'm like so grateful that you're writing this because I wanted to know more about her. I wanted her story to continue. So like when you told me about this, I was so excited. I was like, yes, woo!
All those books sound great, honestly.
Now, Avalina, we gotta ask, what's your favorite
Yeah.
wine?
God.
We do have a few questions, because, I'm a very structured person.
Wine is important. That's why we started with the wine question.
Yeah. We asked this for everyone, or we're going to. Was writing always an interest of yours? Like, did you always want to write a book, or this kind of spring up on you? I know it's kind of different for everyone. So, was this something you always wanted to pursue?
I've always been a really, really creative person, and I've always loved writing stories, but my English teacher told me I was terrible. I'm not very good with grammar. I had a lot of trouble as a child with spelling. I'm dyslexic, and so when I wanted to take English for my A level, he was like, please don't. I don't want you in my class. Why can't you be more like your sister? Got lots of sisters, but one of my older sisters is incredibly articulate with the English language, and I was not. I took it anyway because I loved it, and I passed. Thank you very much.
Stick it to her.
Him, actually.
Ugh, even worse. Stick it to the bastard. Jesus.
But then when I got my results and went off to college, I didn't do any more with it. I mean, I've done lots of creative things in between, none of which have been writing. It's during COVID that I started writing, but it wasn't for any other reason than a lot of things in my life had changed. I was still working full time during COVID because I was a key worker while working, trying to homeschool my children, who said I was a terrible teacher. I'm not a great teacher, but I did it more for myself, for a bit of a reality break. I was like, I just need to put all this stuff down. And I just started writing just as like, this is a me time thing, like it's a hobby. And then it went from there, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it really just spiraled upwards since then.
To start with, I was reading a lot in the Special Unicorn app. I was reading when I wasn't writing. And then I read a story and I was like, I was just, and you just think, really, I am all for the fantastical, happy ever after, the world's an amazing place. But like one particular story, I swear, if she goes back to him and to that and doesn't go with that dude over there that is like amazing, I am literally going to throw my phone at the wall. I didn't throw my phone at the wall.
But she went back to him?
Yeah. And I was just so furious that I was like, I could do better than that. Now, I've got to admit, when I look back at what I did, I probably couldn't. But as a writer, you learn so much each step of the way. It's a revolving door of learning and changing and evolving. And I'm not going to lie, my grammar is still atrocious. So thank the Lord for my editors and my proofreaders, because what you get is a lot better. So I know that I've improved, but I still know that things need to be polished and things need to be checked and all the rest of it. So I do think that I'm grown and developed as an author, but it's taken time. It doesn't happen overnight. And obviously I've got quite a few books on that app. I think since leaving and doing it this way, it's been much better for me.
Kind of grow past that, get that like learning experience.
I regret being on there. I got my readership started there and I made some amazing friends from that whole like group, and we're still friends now, and to me that's amazing, so I don't regret it at all, but I am glad that I left.
That's what I was going to say, was I'm kind of glad of the Evil Unicorn, because without it I certainly wouldn't have got to know any of you guys, so it's got that going for it, I suppose.
Pros and cons. Oh, also, we did have a question related to that. I know you post on Patreon, but also on Amazon. But have you ever had comments or reviews as you were writing something that pointed out or connected something you didn't intend to or notice yourself? Has there been like many comments that kind of changed your story, however small?
For me, that's quite a difficult one, because when I start writing, generally, I think I know where it's going. My characters really take over quite a lot of the time. It takes me on a completely different direction. So then I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what you want to do. And when I was writing for the app, I found myself getting drawn into what people were saying, and it did sort of change things. Looking back, I wish not, I don't know. I don't wish that I changed it, because I love the stories that I wrote. But I don't think that they all would have been the way that they are if I hadn't completely taken on board certain things that were said. There was one in the app where I actually thought this character was like, in my head, and as I was writing it, I thought she was just a strong, independent woman who knew what she wanted. She was going out for what she wanted. She was a businesswoman, and she was really just confident in her in who she was. If she was a man, I think she would have been taken differently. But seriously, everyone hated her, and everyone was like, he better not get with her, and she's like out for what she can get, and I don't trust her. And that sort of major reaction, it didn't change the ending of the story or what happened, but it did change the way I treated that character in certain scenes and the way I developed her. And in a way, I wished I'd stuck to my guns, although I don't regret the way she turned out. I sort of managed to pull her back around, but yeah, that did make a huge difference to that. Whereas now I know the beginning, I know the end, I know kind of what's going to happen in the middle. If my characters decide to go off on a tangent, as long as I get from point A to point B and I can sort of cross the in-between bits, I'm okay with that. But I don't take on board what people think are going to happen. I stick to where the story's going.
We love a good side quest.
When they're doing very realistic things, and we were like, well, they should just accept their mate or whatever because they're their mate. Yeah, but there's other things going on, maybe. Maybe. That's not just the bond.
There's behind the scenes stuff.
You're forgetting magic dick.
Magic dicks are a thing. So are micropeens.
Yes, micropeens for the win.
I don't think I've ever had a life-changing. Maybe that's me.
I don't think anybody has, really. Men like to think so, but yeah. We let them think that.
I know we have a few of the repeat questions from other people as well. Which of your characters do you identify with the most? And also, follow-up question from someone else that I'm going to tag onto this one, not the bear one. Are your characters based on people you know or have dealt with?
The first ever story that I did on the app was very loosely based on myself. I don't know about lots of people, but for me that was like, because it's not a shifter romance. I started off in like sort of contemporary urban. When I first started writing, that was how I managed to sort of develop the character, because it was easier. I was drawing on my own experiences, or not necessarily my experiences, but how I remember things or things that I've seen or done. So yeah, I think as I've developed as an author, I've been able to sort of take more from an outside outside of perspective and draw in new things. So yes, there are elements of characters all the time. I think you sort of pick bits out and be like, oh, absolutely, you know, friend or whatever would do that, but that's really funny and I could see my character doing that. So, you know, you can develop it that way. But none of my characters are on anybody that I know other than the first book that I wrote, which was like sort of loosely based on my own experiences.
It's easier to write about your own
Especially when
thing.
you're like when I first started writing, it was verbal diarrhea. I was just putting words down and then you go back. And now I look at it and I think I could have done that so much better. I could have really made that different, but I still love the story. It's just that a lot of traits, the characteristics, mannerisms, things that, you know, the way things were said, I could see myself doing that, and it was much easier to sort of develop a character when you sort of have that connection. For me, it was easier to do that in the first instance. That's how you kind of like grow and expand on your own characters, TV personalities, or people that you like or people that you don't like. It's like, ooh, this person did this and I really didn't like that. So I'm going to put that in there somewhere because it relates, so you can really feel it. And when you can when you've got an emotional connection to something, for me, it makes it much easier to portray it.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
as
like, be
well.
like, how would this person think, or how would whatever? It's like, no, this is how I would react to this.
You know, if my character was a complete hothead, then I wouldn't go to like my own experiences for that, because I tend to sort of dwell on things. I would then think, well, who do I know that's a complete hothead? How would they react to that? Right, they would probably do something like this, this, and this, sort of take on that persona while I'm writing and get my head in that space.
Going back to what you said about your first book, Avalina, never go back and change it. That is your starting point, and you be proud of it. But you've grown so much from that. Like, I loved your first books on the Purple Unicorn, but I loved also watching you develop and get better and better and better every book. And you're just chef's kiss.
Aw, you're so beautiful.
That's the wine talking.
I was going to
Is
say.
it? I'd probably condense the last few questions too shortly. You know, that's not the word I was looking for.
We all know it's going to not be a short half hour.
It'll be short. This is
Aurora,
short.
come on. You're adorable.
So I'm pointing, like, as if you can see me. Yeah, so if you could tell, I guess, authors starting their writing journey, what would that piece of advice be?
I genuinely
Anything.
think that everybody's journey is completely different, and it's really tough because from personal experience, I had a relatively okay experience with the app before I moved, based on what I gained from it, not from them as a company, but from the wider experience. Going from that, I would absolutely say find your people. It's easier said than done, but I absolutely think that if you find your people, and when I say that, I mean your support network, it's massive. You do your thing with your writing is your own, and don't change your style or what you're doing to please people. You can never please everybody, but find the people that you can support and that can support you, because for me, that has literally been life-changing, because I can tell you now that without my group of people, I probably would have given up about 300 times. That's my one big piece of advice.
Really
Find your
cute.
cheerleaders. Like
Find your
Avalina.
tribe. Find your tribe.
I found mine through you ladies, and one of which just joined to support our lovely Avalina. Hello, Miss Stephanie Light.
I absolutely adore her.
All right, let me ask you a question.
If we lose y'all, we're sorry.
Reader
Aurora
questions.
has some issues.
I'm good at things. Just I'm good at things. Just yeah.
Love.
Reader questions. I would love to know the story behind Chicken.
So before I started writing, they tried to get me into gaming, and they gave me a controller. And
Wait, who is they?
My
Who's
children.
they?
Sorry, this is all my children. I said this is all my children's fault. So my children tried to get me into gaming, and they handed me a controller and was like, this game's really cool, try it. I could only look at the ceiling. I was like button bashing and I couldn't do it, and they were like, oh well, practice. So I was set up on this gaming thing, and it gave me the pen name Parched Chicken, which was hilarious, because firstly, what's not funny about the name Parched? And secondly, I'm like a little mother hen, so it worked. Anyway, I quickly gave up gaming because I was absolutely shocking at it and had no idea what I was doing. And I was so sick of looking at the sky, I decided that this was not for me. And then when I started writing, told them I was writing, I said, oh, I need a pen name. And what can I use? Because I tried a few and it was like, that's been taken. So I was like, oh, what do you think I should use? Because they wanted to read my stories. And I was like, hell no, you can't. I told them that they could pick my pen name because they couldn't read my stories. And they chose Parched Chicken because they remembered how my gamer tag, which was so hilarious and so true to myself. So that's how my original pen name became Parched Chicken. And then when I moved from the Purple Unicorn, I needed to be less of a child and have a proper name. So it changed. But Chicken stuck. So yeah. Everyone calls me Chicken. Well, no, that's not true. Everyone doesn't call me Chicken. Lots of people refuse to call me Chicken, but Chicken is my thing. And I'm kind of obsessed now.
And I mean, Cox is a chicken dish.
So when I was picking my pen name for Amazon, they chose that too. I'm going to tell you this. It's so embarrassing. Right. So they were...
Go on.
They were my son...
Now you have to.
So they were trying to find names. Kimber's in the corner crying already. So they were trying to find names that went with Parched Chicken or could somehow like be related, because they didn't really want to lose it because they loved it so much. And also I had lots of like readers say, oh my God, I really love your pen name. It's really unique. Yes, it is. So I gave them the task of finding me a new pen name that was like, normal. And my son came up with Birdie Cockhead.
You should have went with that one.
I was like, dude, I swear, no, I am not calling myself Birdie Cockhead. Whatever you say, that is not funny. It's not cool. It's not adult. That's still very child. So he said that he would accept Cox because it's a Cox chicken cockhead. Like, he accepted that. So that was his part. So you have my son to thank for the Cox part of my name. And then my daughter picked Avalina because it means bird. And then she decided that Cox was really boring and she felt that the parched part of my name was missing. So she added the P for parched, but liked the fact that P Cox sounded like a bird as well.
Oh, I love that. So basically your name means like still like bird dick, though.
Basically,
for your children.
It means bird. Actually,
bird.
Aurora.
Cox.
So Cox is a chicken.
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard of chickens before.
Birdcocks. Ashley just gave us that one. Birdcocks.
Right, fine. I'm Birdcock.
They know.
Let's just go with that.
That's brilliant, though. I will say. I will give them that. That is
the name in my phone to that.
I will say. I will give
now
credit.
I'm going to have to tell my son in the morning I've been renamed Birdcock, and he is going to be loving it.
Well, that was his intention, I feel like, the entire time. So
my daughter was so trying to pretty it up, and then I got Birdcock.
No,
we can thank Aurora for that one.
Yeah, but that was your
definitely changing. I'm changing your name in my phone now as we speak.
What, the Birdcock?
That was your son that chose that.
Wow,
it's brilliant. I will say, credit where credit's due. Your kids are brilliant, and I really would not say that if they weren't, because I really do not resonate with children or other people. So great name though.
Aurora doesn't like children, furry animals. What else? Let's add to the list.
What do you like? Greg?
Pasta. Oh yeah, I have a question for both of you as well. It's actually another reader question. It's like, do you think you could fight a bear with a compass and a pistol?
Sorry, with a what now?
Compass. A compass. Do you think you could fight a bear with a compass, and a pistol? Pew pew.
Sorry.
A compass.
Compass.
So let me get this straight.
So they actually asked fight. It was not my question. It was not my question.
Okay. So I just
subdue a bear with a compass and a pistol. Compass. Okay. Do you think you could fight a bear with a compass and a pistol?
Okay. Personally, I'm gonna say No.
Good answer.
And the reason behind my answer is because what the fuck is a compass gonna do to help me
That's
kill
what
a
I
bear?
said.
Right?
Funny
Except
said.
direct me away from it if I'm wondering what direction to run in to fuck
That could be
off.
good if you got really far.
But like I explained to several people this weekend, I don't do running. I just need to explain that I have a real massive fear of height, okay?
But
This
you're
is
on
a
like the
side story.
ground.
It's a
So.
side story. I have a real massive fear of heights. And today we took Kimber to somewhere close by to us, town close by. I mean, from a very, very small village that doesn't have anything like boba. Kimber wanted to take my daughter to get boba because that's what she wanted to do. And so we had to go to a nearby town to do that. And in order to get to the shop, we have to walk over a suspension bridge that moves in the wind over a river and a road, and the sides are clear slats. It makes me feel nauseous just thinking about it. But my son said to me while we were on the middle of this bridge and it was swaying, Mum, if the bridge started to snap, would you dive into the water and hope that you didn't get hit by the concrete that was falling on your head? Or would you try and run to the end and get to the end before it fell apart?
That is a really good point. What was your answer?
That's a damn good question.
Just a side note, I'm terrified of heights as well, and I'm like, thank you for like the panic attack. That's what I needed today. So like just walking, like running across this bridge.
I don't like heights, but I can do heights when I know I'm like cool, like a safe. If I'm like up on
You
a
feel
height where I'm like,
safe when
oh, I
it's
could fall off
swinging?
this.
I'm going to get all of you here to Tintagel. Like, seriously, go on Google right now and look up the Tintagel Bridge.
Used to go on that fucking bridge.
Yeah.
What would you do? And I said, well, I don't run, but I'm not a great swimmer either. So I'm going to take my chances with running.
That could be a good question to ask the next author. Like the anonymous question, like if you were in the middle of this bridge, let me set the scene. What would you do?
The next author.
Are you swimming or are you running?
Yeah.
I will take my fat ass and I will start running. Because like Avalina, I'm not a good swimmer either. So
You don't have to be that good of a swimmer. You'd hope that someone would kind of like, save you. It'd be like,
yeah, but if concrete's falling on your head, if concrete's
water
falling on
police
you,
or
you gotta start
whatever.
swimming or at least dive and swim off.
To see
Oh,
how the
Stephanie's
spell
here.
would
Wait,
go.
1 second. Stephanie, do you think you could fight off a bear with a compass and a pistol?
What?
A compass.
Why do you say compass?
Like that's what I said.
Did.
Thank you.
They were
Too
like, you're
American.
saying it
He's
wrong.
not.
They're like,
What the hell a compass is, but a compass. Wait, what was the question again?
do you think you would fight off a bear or like subdue it enough with a compass and a pistol?
No. I don't know how to use guns. Very un-American of me.
Yeah, but I feel like it's just like one action. It's like one.
But it's not though, is it?
That-
'Cause you
no,
Yeah, I
don't
guess
it's
if it
not.
wasn't
safe.
loaded,
How to
I would
aim
also be like, oh
correctly.
shit.
I don't know anything about aiming.
I mean, it's kind of big and it's like right there.
But you can miss it because it could move.
But it's like right there.
Yeah,
but
but
it's
like
not
it
about
could
to
move,
kill you.
or it could just tear your arm off. Like one or the other. I'm
Well,
also a very
as long
slow
as it doesn't
person.
tear off the arm with a compass, then you're good.
What is the compass gonna do? Just throw it at it or what?
I don't know. I don't know. Be like anything. Like, do you think you could fight off a bear with a compass and a pistol or whatever? Or like other things. Like, what's your second favorite tree? And then they got really stuck on the compass and the pistol bear thing, not me. And
It started with you calling it a compass.
Yeah, because that just sounds like you want to dump a pile of soil on its head.
It's not compost. It's compass.
Yeah, but it's not
Now
compost.
I'm really.
It's not a post.
How
How do you say
yeah, you guys say
computer?
compost, like it's like a post on a post. But it's spelled like compost, though. You know that, right?